Hello friends and welcome to Edupedia World Videos. In this section, we are going to learn some basics about our IDE, that is code blocks. We will learn how we can create our new files in the code blocks IDE. We will learn how to compile our files and we will also learn how to run them. Apart from code blocks, we will also learn some basics about the C programming, like how we can specify some integers and string constants explicitly in the C code. So these things will help us in other chapters, which we will be taking up in a matter of few more videos. Okay, so first of all, let us start by seeing this window. So this is known as the workspace. Okay, so any IDE uses a workspace which provides various tools for you to work on your project. Okay, so this provides tools like the source code editor and debugger and compiler and all those stuff. Okay, so this window right here is the default window that opens up when you start your code blocks IDE. So this window contains basic information about the release of your code blocks IDE, the version, etc. Apart from it, it also contains some links, which is create a new project, open existing project, and tip of the day. So when you click on tip of the day, it gives you certain tips, like you can disable these tips on startup if you uncheck show tips and startup, and you can navigate through the steps. So when you are tired of coding or whenever you have some free time, you can click on this button tip of the day and get some useful tips which will help you to use your IDE. So you can have more than one project open simultaneously. These are some certain tips that are coming, and you can tick this checkbox to show tips at startup, and from now onwards it will show some tips at the startup, so you can learn one or two tips every day. Okay, apart from these links, this is a link to visit CodeBlocks forums. So what are forums for? These are just online discussion threads. So if you have some queries about CodeBlocks, you can post it over there. Okay, and what is this? This is a report a bug. Suppose you find out there is some error in the CodeBlocks IDE itself. There is some bug, so you can post it over here. And if you want that there must be some feature that is missing in CodeBlocks, you can request it over here. And these links below it are for the recently opened projects. Okay, so whatever projects you had opened in last few days would be displayed over here. Okay, and on the left side on the management pane, you have various tabs. First one is for the projects. So this shows a whole list of your projects. We don't have any projects right now, so it is only showing the home, that is the workspace. Then there is symbols, a tab for symbols. Okay, so current file symbols, this tab do? It will list all the symbols that you have created on your code, like the global functions, global type defs, variables, preprocessor symbols, global macros. All these kinds of symbols will come over here. Okay, and instead, if you want to view whole symbols of the current project, you can select this option from over here, and your project can have multiple files. Okay, so the symbols will come show from all the files. If you want that all local symbols of the workspace, that means that all the projects that are included in your workspace, their all local symbols will be visible over here. Okay, so apart from it, you have an option for files, which is just a file explorer. Okay, this is just similar to going to my computer and going to a particular drive and then listing your files. So you can do that work from here also. If you want to open some folder, then you want to rename some files over there, all these things you can do from here. And then there are some other tabs which we will learn later. We don't need to use them in the recent cycle phase of our learning. We will not require them. Okay, so apart from this, now we will learn how to create a new file. So we can close this tab, start here. Okay, now to create a new file, you have to go to either this icon, which is a shortcut to create a new file, or file tab and click on new So we click on new and empty file. Okay, this will create a new file. So you can also follow the shortcuts. All the shortcuts for every command are given like this. So you can press Ctrl Shift N alternatively to open a new file. Okay, if I press Ctrl Shift N, it will open a new file that is Untitled 2. Okay, and okay, so in case you want to, now you have opened a new file, but you have to rename it. Okay, it is Untitled 1 and I want to specify some name to this file, so I can just save it. Click on the save button over here. It will give me an option to save it with a particular name. When that comes up, I will write the name that I want and it will then save it. Okay, so sometimes it takes a little time because the IDEs are always generally heavier. Okay, so it has given me an option. Okay, let me name it that file1.c. So .c is the extension that is globally accepted as the extension for the C source files. So we should follow that convention. .h for header files and .c for source files. And then click on save. It will save the file. Okay, now the file has a new name, that is file1.c. So now let us see some features. First one of it is the auto completion feature. Okay, so automatically predict your word that you are going to type next. So suppose if I press hash, it will give me a list of words that it predicts that I can type next. So I have to type include to include a new header file. I'll just press enter and include has been typed on the screen. Now I write the name of the file, that is stdio.h, which is standard input output header file, which contains the prototypes of the functions which are used for standard input and output. So right now we will be learning about output functions. Okay, I will tell you about an output function which will help you to build your some C programs, build your starting level of your C programs, because it will not involve any higher level logic. Okay, but using just how to output something on screen will also teach you a lot of concepts of programming. So for the time being, we'll just learn that simple output statement, and in a chapter which is completely dedicated to input and output statements in C language, we will learn that statement in detail. So for the time being, don't go to the components of this statement, but just learn as I tell you to do. Okay, so now we have to give the main function over here. So every C program has a mandatory function, that is the main function. It is mandatory to have a main function, and what does the main function do? It acts as a entry point for your program. So that means that your program always begins its execution at the first line of the main function. So you have to remember that it should contain a main function, and as a standard in C language, main function should always return an integer to the operating system. So your operating system is the one which actually calls your main function. So your function should return something to the operating system only, and for C language it is integer. So when I have pressed int, it has given me a list of words that I can uh, type over here. So I want to type int right now. So int is here included. Okay, so now main. So that means that main function will return integer. Okay, now I have to put the starting braces. So just observe, I will just put one brace, and the IDE itself will complete the braces for me. So this is a very handy feature of an IDE. So this actually will benefit you when you are writing codes which is actually thousands of lines long, because at that time when you have to trace the starting and the ending brackets, suppose you just miss one curly braces in one of the blocks, you will not be able to debug it very easily. Okay, so you will either read your code line by line and then keep a count of your braces that are opened and then that are closed, and then you realize that okay, this particular braces is left over here. So this will take around 2-3 hours of effort. Instead of it, if you use a good IDE, that will help you solve your problem. How? Just see, if I put the starting curly braces of this block, it itself will mark a line to whole of the block. So if I have suppose 10 lines in this block, I will just put 10 comments. Okay, So this will help you to understand comments also. Comments are the instructions that are actually ignored by the compiler. Okay, so how to put comments in this C? Single line comments are put by using double forward slash, and they are highlighted by gray in this color scheme. Okay, different IDEs might highlight comment by different colors, and multiple line comments are put using forward slash and a star, and all the lines after that till I close this are commented. So these lines are comments and will be ignored by the compiler. So why are comments useful? Comments are useful for programmers to remember what a part of the code does. So very important, that why, if the compiler doesn't need comments, why did programmers include comments in as a feature in your C language? It is because it improves the readability of a code. Suppose I am making a code. Okay, so every day I write around 10-20 files of code in my office. So these 10-20 files I might not remember after 30 days, but I had written in 30 days prior to this day. So when I open those files again, I might not remember for what purpose I have used a particular variable, for what purpose I have made a particular function. So I type comments inside my file, and in that comments I suppose I declare a variable int, and this is a variable, say, which stores the count of people inside a room. Okay, so I name this as person counter. So in this variable I intend to store the count of people inside a room. So I can just put a small single line comment after that, the variable for counting the number of people in the room. So that is simple as it. So whenever I open this file again next time and I read this variable person counter, I can just refer to this small line of comment written after it, which will tell me what purpose this variable is for. Okay, so this is another thing that is very important. And we were talking about the feature of the compiler that lets you to trace brackets. So if I put my cursor on this bracket, it will itself mark the ending bracket of that bracket, the matching bracket. Okay, so brackets are always in pairs. It will mark the highlight the corresponding closing bracket. So this is very useful to trace where a function is beginning and where it is ending. And suppose now I have 20 such functions. Just like this main function, I have 20 such functions in my file. Okay, and for the time being I want to ignore the other functions and I want to concentrate only on one part. So what I can do is I can click on this. This is known as roll up. So all the other functions will get rolled. Obviously their names will be different. Instead of main, this could be like function 1 and this could be function 2. Okay, so now I have rolled over function 1 and function 2 because I have completed their coding. Now my whole focus is over here. So this also helps you in concentrating on a particular part of the code, and it also helps you navigate through your code better in a better way. And if I want to concentrate on function 1 now, I just click on this small plus sign and it will open up, it will unroll itself. So these are some of the very good features of the IDE. That is why you must use a good IDE. You must select a good IDE. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just come back to the variable part. Okay, we also said that in this section we will also learn something about variables. So what I want to tell you is that how you can assign constant values to variables. Okay, so there are multiple ways to assign values to the variable in C. Means multiple sources of values. One is that user can input some value, that we will do later on. The other one is that you do some calculation, certain calculation, and output of that calculation is stored to a variable. That also we will look into later on. The third one is known as explicit assignment. That means you explicitly specify a constant. Suppose I write int a is equal to 10. Now this is explicit assignment because 10 value has been given explicitly. It has not been calculated and neither has it been inputted by the user. So it has been given explicitly as 10. This is known as explicit assignment, and for integers you just simply write the numbers. Okay, and you can also see that it has been highlighted in magenta color, not highlighted but typed in magenta color. So that is the feature. This feature is known as syntax highlighting. So all the braces and semicolon and equal to, all these kinds of things will be highlighted in red color. All your keywords will be highlighted in blue color, like int. If you write for, while, all these are keywords in C language, so these will be written in blue color. All the hash defines will be written in green color. Okay, and now, okay, this was how you specify an explicit integer constant. Now we come to a character constant. Okay, so what is a character? Character is just one letter, A, B, C. These are characters. So I take a character variable and I name it as ch. I want to store some character inside it. So how will I write it? In single quotations. Remember, single characters are treated as constants when they are given in single quotations in C. So I want to store a capital Q character inside the variable ch. So this is how I will specify it. In single quotations I write capital Q and it goes to ch. Okay, so now just a simple question, that what value will actually be stored in ch? Will it be Q or something else? Or suppose instead of Q I write 1 over here, or so what will be stored inside ch for 1? Okay, the answer is that it will be storing the Ascii code. Okay, what is Ascii? It is American Standards Code for Information Interchange. American Standard Codes for Information Interchange. So they have made a table in which they have encoded around 2 raised to power of 8, that is 256 characters. Okay, from minus 127 to 100 plus 127 their values are, and these have been allocated to particular set of characters which includes all the alphabets, that is from small a to small z, then capital A to capital Z, and also from 0 to 9, all the digits are also there. Okay, so all these have been assigned certain Ascii codes in hexadecimal, and these Ascii codes actually get stored into the variables when you store them. So when I store 1, instead of the numerical 1, it will store the Ascii code for the character 1 inside this variable. Whereas here, for an integer, it will store the actual value of 10. Actually, how 10 will be represented in binary form, that is what it will store in A. Okay, so these were some of the basic concepts. One more in for a string. Okay, now strings in C are represented as a sequence of characters. So we can store a string constant in a character pointer. So I write a ch star string. Now pointers are always represented by stars before them. So to declare a pointer variable, you have to put a star before the variable. Now I write equal to, and I want to store any name inside this, say Rajesh. Okay, so I have stored this name Rajesh over here. Now remember that any string inside a C program will be represented in double quotation marks. So characters in single quotation marks, but strings, complete strings, in double quotation marks. Okay, this is how strings are stored inside C. Now we also want a very important concept is here, which we will also discuss later on, that every string must be terminated by a null character. And what is a null character? Null character is just \0. It means this character \0 has an Ascii code of 0. In Ascii code, if you check the Ascii code of character \0, it is equal to the number 0. Okay, so all the characters should be terminated by, all these strings should be terminated by a null character. So The only difference for a C between a sequence of characters and a string is that any string is terminated by a null character. So this we have to remember, and all the strings are given by included when they are included in double quotation marks, that is inverted commas. Okay, and at the end of any main program main function, you have to write a statement for returning any value. We will be returning 0 here, which is for normal exit. Okay, so I hope this video has given you some basic introduction to how our journey will be further inside the C language. So thank you for watching this video in the series of the course Basics of Programming in C language, and I hope you continue watching this series. Have a nice day. Thank you.